start. Hello, everyone. So today we are going to talk about a nuclear disaster, Fukushima. So I think many of you have watched the TV show of Chernobyl last year, and this show made us to know how horrible is a nuclear disaster. Today, we are talking about another nuclear leak disaster, Fukushima. So in this presentation, we will introduce the background information, what went wrong for the incident, the type of the incident, the risk management system gaps during this incident, and how Japan mitigated the disaster, and what corrective actions did they do. And finally, we will analyze what could have been done better for this incident. So now let's start. So on March 11th, 2011, a Great East Japan earthquake happened in the ocean area at the East Japan region. And this earthquake was one of the largest earthquakes in history, with the magnitude of 9.0. After the earthquake, a huge tsunami with 50-meter high waves happened. Fukushima nuclear power, which is located just by the sea, was seriously damaged by the tsunami after the earthquake. The radioactive materials were released from the 3 damaged reactors, and this nuclear leak persisted for 4 to 6 days. And even worse, nuclear contaminated water was leaked, and it polluted the ocean. So from this incident, more than 100,000 people were evacuated, and it caused 2,295 people dead. The death number was both from the tsunami and the nuclear leak. So what happened on that day? What went wrong? So typically, under normal situation, the heat generated by reactor cores of the nuclear power station can be cooled down by an electric cooling system. But on the day of the tsunami, the power supply for the cooling system was damaged by the tsunami. As a result, the cooling process of the reactors are interrupted. So, moreover, the efforts of fixing the cooling system was failed due to the miscommunication between the power plant company and Japanese government. This made the situation even worse. Consequently, the heat in the core of the reactors, as you can see in this picture, the red represents the heat. It accumulated, and finally, the high pressure and the huge amount of the heat triggered an explosion at the power plant, and then the nuclear materials were leaked. Now I will pass it to Cody to continue to talk about it.
Okay, what type of event was it? This was a natural disaster or acts of nature. It has a low probability, but an extremely high consequence to Fukushima. And the risk event probability is medium. This is because they have Fukushima, Japan, experiences earthquakes, has experienced earthquakes like this before, that ranging between 5 to 25 years. However, this event was of high severity. There were no services available in the beginning. Service disruption lasted more than 3 days, and there were a lot of impacts to the business functions. This is also due to the fact of the tsunami that the earthquake produced. Next slide, please. So the gaps in the risk management system, the first one was in their risk evaluation and control process, all specific to the planning process and risk assessment. This is because Fukushima, Japan, did not identify the potential risk associated with the earthquakes. Because their earthquake probability rate and frequency is high. However, Fukushima disaster planning did not evaluate for the size of the earthquake or tsunami. The second gap that we identified was in emergency response and operations. This is specific to communication vehicles, so their emergency notification system. When the earthquake happened, there was a mix-up in communication and through the warning system. So some residents claimed that they thought they were safe because the tsunami was only estimated at like a three meters high, so they thought they were safe behind a 10-meter seawall. But this was not the case. And in addition to that, to their emergency notification system, the radio or speaker system that was supposed to warn the residents in the event of an earthquake and also tsunami, that wasn't working because of the blackout due to the earthquake. So yeah, their emergency system should have evaluated for the earthquake and should have had a backup generator or something, because Fukushima, Japan has a high earthquake risk probability. Next slide.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Cody. So did their corrective actions actually fill in their gaps? So for the first one that I wanted to state is yes. So considering that TEPCO had no emergency measures to follow in the case of an earthquake or tsunami, it was collectively decided that the whole world, and I say the whole world, I mean the whole entire nuclear industry, decided that potentially extreme natural events must be a regulatory requirement in the planning stages of the plants to prevent and mitigate severe incidents. The next one that I want to add is the addition of crisis communication throughout the organization will fill the gap of improper communication during an emergency, like Cody previously mentioned, with the backup generator not working when it came to notifying not just the public, but the workers about an earthquake or a tsunami happening. So communication during an emergency could have helped reduce some of the effect of the additional factors to the plant after tsunami, by adding additional safety frameworks, regulations, and policies to make sure that this is all functioning. Filling the gap when relating to continuous safety enhancement, this is instituted by the International Atomic Energy Agency to ensure that all nuclear plants around the world were being more overlooked by international nuclear agencies, so that it wasn't just the Japanese government and then TEPCO, that it was more of a collective agreement between the nuclear industry to make it more serious to overlook the activity happening throughout all of the nuclear plants around the world. And lastly, there has been an addition of tighter communication channel between the Japanese government and all nuclear companies. Could I get to the next slide, please? So what did TEPCO in Japan do to collectively fix this? So first and foremost, they decommissioned the use of the 4 reactors, completely shutting off the reactors so they would begin to cool off. This is the start of a 20-year process, and it comes at a small price of $15 billion. Immediately, they needed to decontaminate the waters that were contaminated with high doses of tritium-laced water into the ocean. Although this is common practice with nuclear power plants near a body of water. It is not particularly dangerous to have water containing tritium, but it can endanger the local marine species, including fish, which provide a source of income for the people living near the plant and in that region. With the goal to bring down the dosage of 50% for adults and 60% for children, using the radioactive treatment system will slowly filter the tritium out. TEPCO has also added sensors for temperature and xenon since the reactors are in the cooling process. This will alert for serious leakage of xenon during the cooldown, as well as an increase in temperature, which can symbolize a problem in the reactors, like what happened after the tsunami. So could I please get to the next slide again? So what might have I or our group done differently? So firstly, there wasn't much of an emergency preparedness for any natural disasters. So you must consider your geographical location, which I don't think they did not do. So you must consider your geographical location and all the possible natural disasters that can occur due to your location. So stress tests are also done to add additional pressure on the reactors to see the reaction under different circumstances. This is to practice emergency situations. During the stress tests, we can see what happens at specific stressors. This will help understand what kind of stressors can occur during an emergency situation to better help prepare us. Adding additional communication policies will be a way to ensure emergency preparedness is being improved. Ensuring workers and management know what to do and who to contact can help save lives of millions of dollars worth of damage. And lastly, I think it would be crucial for companies' reputation and the seriousness of the situation that occurred at Fukushima to educate the workers and the public on what can happen in certain emergency situations. By giving this platform for everybody, it can help people understand what and how things occur, especially in the nuclear industry, considering this is such a volatile and such a high-risk job that people might be on edge when they work around or when they live around or work around some sort of nuclear facility, considering that the impact that it really has on society. So this would be a very good step towards building your company reputation back, showing that you care. Yeah, so thank you for listening in on our presentation on Fukushima, Japan, and the earthquake and tsunami that caused the nuclear reactors to heat excessively. And thank you very much for listening. Have a great day, Matt.
Thank you.